From this to this,
seeking a hefty sum that amounts to over $280 million in damages.
these people built the most watched cable drama in television history.
AMC's Walking Dead returns to record 17.3 million viewers.
17 million viewers every Sunday night. And what the show gave them back was pay discrimination, psychological breakdown, a firing with 1 day's notice, and a lawsuit that took a decade to resolve. 11 names, every single one documented. And some of the worst of it, they set themselves on the record with their own names attached. Let's get into it. Jeffrey DeMunn played Dale Horvath from the very first episode of The Walking Dead in 2010 through the 18th episode of Season 2 in 2012. Dale was the group's moral conscience, the man on top of the RV, the one who kept arguing for doing things the right way when the world had stopped making that easy. Fans loved him. And then he was gone suddenly, in a way that felt abrupt even by the show's own brutal standards. It was abrupt because DeMunn made it abrupt on purpose. DeMunn had come to The Walking Dead because of Frank Darabont. The two men had worked together across 3 decades. Darabont had directed DeMunn in The Shawshank Redemption in 1994, The Green Mile in 1999, and The Mist in 2007. When Darabont created The Walking Dead for AMC, DeMunn was one of his first calls. In July 2011, mid-production on Season 2, AMC fired Frank Darabont. DeMunn went to the producers and asked to be written out immediately. In documented interviews, he described his departure in his own words as an immense relief.
Not that you may remember time, but that you may forget it. Not spend all of your breath trying to conquer it.
He was angry about what had happened to his friend, and he was done. The man playing the show's moral conscience walked out the moment the show did something he found unconscionable. He called it a relief. That parallel has never quite gone away. Tom Payne joined The Walking Dead in Season 6 in 2016, playing Paul Rovia, known to everyone as Jesus. The character arrived looking like the most interesting addition the show had made in years. In Robert Kirkman's comic series, first published by Image Comics in 2003, Jesus is a central figure across the war with the Saviors, tactically important and eventually given a romance with another male character. The show gestured toward a similar storyline between Jesus and Aaron across Seasons 7 and 8 and then left it completely undeveloped.
Don't suppose she's changed her mind about the fair?
No, you're kidding, right? For all of us. We have to come back together.
By Season 9, Payne had been on the show for 3 years. In interviews around the time of his departure, he described the experience as boring and said he felt the character had been wasted. Jesus was killed in the mid-season 9 premiere in 2018, stabbed during an ambush in a graveyard at night, before the show had delivered on a single thing it had been building toward with him. Payne did not pretend otherwise in the press that followed. Michael Rooker played Merle Dixon from Season 1 in 2010 through Season 3 in 2013. Merle was the show's first purely human antagonist, introduced handcuffed to a rooftop in Atlanta, left behind by the group, and forced to amputate his own hand to escape. Rooker played every stage of it with total conviction. And then, just as the character was becoming genuinely complicated, caught between loyalty to his brother Daryl and his position inside the governor's operation, he was written out.
And you. Inner circle. I'm honored.
Rooker made his feelings public in documented interviews. He did not believe the payoff justified the buildup. He felt both the character and the fans deserved more. He also mentioned unprompted in multiple interviews that his immediate first thought upon being told he was leaving was that he would never have to wear Merle's prosthetic arm again. That detail says everything about what the daily reality of playing the character had actually been like. Stephen Yeun played Glenn Rhee from the pilot episode in 2010 through the Season 7 premiere in 2016. Glenn was the first voice of hope the show gave the audience. The Season 7 premiere, which aired on October 23, 2016, and drew 17 million viewers according to Nielsen figures reported by The Hollywood Reporter the following day, ended his story in one of the most debated scenes in the show's history. What Yeun said afterward was more honest than most actors would have been. In documented interviews, he described the experience of being on the show as something that gave him an existential crisis. He said the show was so enormous and the expectations so fixed in millions of viewers' minds that he felt swallowed by it. He used the word trapped. He has said clearly he has no interest in reprising the role in any form. His Academy Award nomination for Best Actor for Minari, confirmed by the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences in nominations announced on March 15, 2021, is the clearest measure of what came after. The show lost him. He found himself. Those two things are connected. Laurie Holden played Andrea from Season 1 in 2010 through the Season 3 finale, which aired on March 31, 2013. In Robert Kirkman's comic series, Andrea survives well past the point the show killed her, becomes one of the group's most capable members, and enters a long-term relationship with Rick. On the show, she was bitten in the Season 3 finale and died before completing the escape the episode had spent 40 minutes building toward. Holden has stated on the record in documented interviews that she found out her character was going to die the day before they filmed the scene. After 3 seasons, after absorbing years of intense fan hostility for a role the writing had systematically undermined, she has also stated that Andrea was originally intended to survive through at least Season 8 and that a romance with Rick had been part of the plan. None of it happened. She has been vocal about her bitterness. She is not wrong. Josh McDermott joined the show in Season 4 in 2013 as Eugene Porter, a man who convinced trained fighters to escort him across the country by claiming he knew the cause of the outbreak. He did not. McDermott spent years building Eugene into something real, and then the audience started sending him death threats.
Death threats? Don't send me death threats, because I'm gonna report all that to the cops. You can think whatever you want, but when you start saying you hope I die, I don't know if you're talking about Josh or Eugene.
The threats were specific enough and sustained enough that he left all of his social media platforms. Before leaving, he posted a video directly addressing the people sending threatening messages, stating he would report anyone who made specific threats against his life. He stayed on the show and completed his arc, but the cost was his ability to exist publicly online during the years the character was at its most controversial. The question of whether AMC adequately managed that situation has never been answered on the record. Andrew Lincoln played Rick Grimes from the pilot in 2010 through his departure in Season 9, Episode 5, which aired on November 4, 2018, according to AMC's official broadcast records. For 8 seasons, he built one of the most sustained lead performances in the history of American cable drama, and then he left with 3 seasons still on the schedule.
Wanting to ask a question about whether or not this is my last year. Is that true? Now, I did a zombie poll.
The official explanation was family. He is British. His wife and children live in the United Kingdom, 8 or 9 months a year in Georgia. That is documented and true. It was not the complete picture. In multiple interviews, Lincoln said, carefully but consistently enough, that the meaning is not in doubt, that the later seasons were not what he had signed up for creatively, that the quality had shifted. He said it with diplomatic sadness rather than anger. But he left a show with 3 seasons remaining, and the creative dissatisfaction underneath the family explanation is, in his own words, across enough documented interviews that its shape is unmistakable. Lauren Cohan has played Maggie Green since her introduction in Season 2, Episode 2, which aired on October 23, 2011. Her arc from the farmer's daughter at Herschel's farm to one of the group's most tested leaders is one of the most complete character journeys the show produced. In 2018, it became public that she was being paid significantly less than her male co-stars, despite carrying equivalent dramatic weight across multiple seasons.
In the industry and in my show, and it wasn't actually that I was asking for more, it's that my contract finished.
Right.
So
you were renegotiating your deal like everyone does.
That's a pretty standard renegotiation. Yeah.
She called AMC out directly and went public. The dispute was covered by Variety, The Hollywood Reporter, and Deadline throughout 2018. ABC offered her the lead in Whiskey Cavalier. She took it, stepping back from The Walking Dead for most of Season 9. Whiskey Cavalier was canceled after 1 season, confirmed by ABC's official announcement reported by Deadline on May 10, 2019. She came back to The Walking Dead. The entire sequence damaged everyone and benefited no one. AMC's handling of her compensation across 8 years of her building one of the show's most important characters has never been addressed directly on the record. Jeffrey Dean Morgan joined at the end of Season 6 in 2016 as Negan. He came to the role having read Kirkman's comics and accepted without hesitation. He spent years making Negan one of the most compelling presences the show produced. The production came close to breaking him doing it.
Who's gonna be something? I got a tattoo this year, and it's Lucille. And it helps that my wife played Lucille, but really it's the bad.
Morgan has spoken in documented interviews about what the role actually cost. 16-hour days were routine. The physical demands were extreme and sustained. But the element he has returned to most consistently is the psychological toll of inhabiting the character for years. Playing someone who commits the acts Negan commits, with the authority and pleasure the role required, across enough seasons that it becomes your professional life, accumulates in ways that do not switch off. He has described in multiple documented interviews an exhaustion that took real time to process after filming ended. He loved the role, but it cost considerably more than the audience was ever meant to see. Chandler Riggs joined The Walking Dead at 10 years old in 2010. He grew up on the show. By season 8, Carl's arc was pointing toward everything the source material had always promised. In Kirkman's comics, Carl survives his father and becomes the moral center of the community the survivors build in the years after the main story ends. He is the future the entire narrative works toward. AMC wrote him out in the season 8 mid-season finale, which aired on December 10th, 2017. Riggs was 18 years old.
I love you, Dad.
By multiple accounts that became public afterward, Riggs had deferred his enrollment at Auburn University based on what he had been told about his character's future. His father, William Riggs, posted publicly on Facebook describing AMC's decision as a bitch move and stating that Chandler had passed up other opportunities based on what the network had promised. The post was reported on by The Hollywood Reporter and Entertainment Weekly in December 2017 and January 2018, both confirming its contents. Showrunner Scott Gimple addressed the situation publicly. The explanation that Carl's death served Rick's arc did not land the way AMC intended. Carl was supposed to be the future of the show. The decision to remove him in season 8 with 3 seasons remaining is something a significant part of the audience has never forgiven. Frank Darabont created The Walking Dead for AMC after directing The Shawshank Redemption in 1994, The Green Mile in 1999, and The Mist in 2007. The pilot, which he wrote and directed, aired on October 31, 2010, and drew 5.3 million viewers according to Nielsen figures reported by The Hollywood Reporter the following day, the highest-rated premiere in AMC's history at that point. In July 2011, mid-production on Season 2, AMC fired him. Accounts from people who spoke to the trade press at the time described a breakdown over budget cuts and creative control. The man who created the show was removed from it while it was actively filming.
19.
Playback of TS-19.
Few people ever got a chance to see this. Very few.
Darabont sued AMC for $280 million, alleging the network had manipulated the financial accounting to cheat him out of his contractually guaranteed share of the show's profits. In October 2021, a New York jury found in his favor. The verdict was confirmed by court records and reported by The Hollywood Reporter and Variety. The creator of The Walking Dead had spent a decade in court, proving the network that fired him had defrauded him of what his contract guaranteed. Once you understand what AMC was willing to do to the man who built the show, what happened to the actors alongside him stops looking like a series of isolated incidents. The pay gaps, the firings without notice, the teenager reorganizing his university enrollment around promises the network did not keep. It is a documented record of how one network treated the people whose work made it one of the most profitable properties in cable history. 15 years, 11 seasons, 17 million viewers at its peak. And behind all of it, in court filings and salary dispute coverage and trade press reporting and one Facebook post, a father wrote about his teenage son, a story the network spent years hoping the audience would never connect all the way through. Which one of these hit you the hardest? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. Hit the like button. Subscribe.